Our 6 core values are deliver what you promise, take pride in what you do, treat everyone like your best friend, get shit done, chase the vision, and find a better way. They have to be willing to live and breathe those core values. And if those core values turn someone off, that's okay. You're just not the right fit for our organization.
Kristi, it is awesome to have you here on the Learning Leader Show. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Ryan. I'm thrilled to be here.
I read that you have a deep passion for musical theater, and I love this thought of finding other ways to show your creativity and practice that. So, can you talk to me more about this love of musical theater and how you think it helps you as a leader?
Sure. So, as a kid, I don't know why, I just really love musical theater. I'm a Leo, so I do not shy away from any spotlight. I love the spotlight. So I loved musical theater as a kid, but I also was an elite ski racer. So as a child, I had to choose musical theater or ski racing, and I chose ski racing. And so I competed at a really high level through high school. Then I went off to university. I actually did a commerce major in university with a drama minor, which actually not many people know that I was doing a drama minor when I was in university, which is pretty funny. And then I started what was originally called Sport and Social Club, adult rec sports leagues for adults right after university, and did that for 25 years. About 10 years into that, and that was like intramurals for adults, which is still the business I run now. It's been rebranded to Jam. But during that time, about 10 years in, I was bored. And I thought, what else can I do to keep my life exciting and help connect people through play? And I decided to start an adult community musical theater troupe because I was watching my kids do musical theater after school. And I went up to their director. It was like literally in the school gym. They'd go once a week and do a rehearsal. And I said to the director, hey, would you ever want to do this with adults? And she's like, no, I just do it with kids. And I said, but we could raise money for charity. We could sell tickets. People would pay money to see us make ridiculous fools of ourselves on stage. And so I basically, like, when I have an idea, I'm a bit like a dog with a bone. I don't give up very easily. And so I persisted, and Serena and I ended up starting the Bedford Park Players, which it's now become her full-time thing. It became the Summerhill Players and the Riverdale Players. So she had 3 different community musical theater troupes on the go in Toronto. We've raised over $500,000 for charity over the years, producing musicals with adults on stage. I've gone to Africa twice to help with the charity work that we started. In fact, I got to bring my children so they could see all this silly singing and dancing on stage actually was raising money to do this amazing work to help teach children arts programming who are underserved, vulnerable youth in Africa, in South Africa, in Kenya, in Ghana. So it's been an amazing ride. I'm not too involved anymore. Since the pandemic, it's waned, and I'm living in Costa Rica in the winters now, which is when we typically put the shows on. So, but it's been an amazingly fun way there are more ways to play than just sports, I guess, like playing the guitar, playing on stage in musical theater, playing board games, playing sports. There's so many ways to play, and I like to find any way to play. So that's where that all came from.
How do you think that has made you a better communicator as a leader? Being on stage, singing, I know you love to sing too, and performing, because I ask this, Kristi, because I think all leaders, if they want to be effective, need to be constantly working on their communication skills, both written as well as on stages, giving the town hall, the QBRs, the state of where we're at, the vision, right? All of that takes skill, and it takes practice, it takes work. And so I'm shocked when I go to an event and see a CEO or a senior leader get up and do a talk, and it's obvious they haven't practiced or they haven't worked on developing a very important skill, at least I think. So how has it helped you as a leader being on stage regularly, singing and acting and performing with a team?
Well, inevitably, I mean, you're parking your pride, right? I am not a very good dancer. I still, to this day, I cannot shimmy to save my life. And so my castmates still make fun of me. And I'm a very average singer. I can carry a tune, but I'm very average. I think I'm a pretty good actor. I can ham it up. And so I think I'm just making myself super vulnerable to show up on that stage knowing I'm never making it to Broadway. And that was never the goal. I'm just willing to sort of be silly out there and ideally make people laugh, bring a little joy to other people's lives. So that's the intention behind why I do it. And I think it every time I get on stage, it just helps me be my more authentic self as well. Like I'm not afraid to be laughed at and be vulnerable. And I think for my teammates, the people who work on my team at Jam, many of them have come and seen me on stage performing on these silly shows. And I think it helps them realize I'm just another person, and I want them to always feel like super approachable with me, that they can always come and talk to me, whether they're an intern on my team or they've been on the team with us for 20 years. My door is always open to anyone on my team to have open, honest, vulnerable conversations. That's the culture we want to be encouraging. So if I can lead by example, that I'm not afraid to make a fool of myself and be vulnerable, I hope they can trust that I guess that's sort of just keep putting yourself out there, and it really helps, I think, for sure with leadership.
Yeah. So you mentioned Jam a little bit earlier. I am curious, as I was digging into all the prep for this, I thought it looks like Kristi might have one of the coolest jobs in the world, and you created it for yourself. So first, let's start with, what is Jam? What does your company do?
So Jam, the core purpose of Jam is connecting people through play. For the first 25 years, I started in 1996, it was adult recreational sports leagues. So things like basketball, volleyball, soccer, flag football, kickball, dodgeball, ultimate frisbee, you name it, we operated as a sport. And so you can just imagine the number of people who have made best friends or made a big group of friends or been able to stay connected with their university friends because they keep playing, or met that special someone. The number of marriages and babies born because of people connecting and meeting through playing in our leagues is astounding. We don't promote that, but everyone knows it happens. And that's the whole idea. It's not, no one is going to the NBA or the NHL or MLB from Jam sports leagues, but people are making friends. They're getting off the couch. They're being physically active and healthy. We've had 4 of our players get our logo tattooed on their body because of the
Whoa.
life-changing impact of the power of our leagues. It's a really positive thing we're doing, right? So that was how it all started. During the pandemic, about probably 85% of our organization is based in Canada. We are in the US as well, but smaller right now. And the mandates in Canada were really harsh. We lost 18 months of revenue from our sports leagues. We were shut down, like not allowed to operate. It was really different for my colleagues in the US. And so we had to survive. So in order to survive, I remember feeling pretty sorry for myself the first couple of months and thinking, people can't play soccer and beach volleyball over their phones. So what are we going to do? We started these virtual events. And I remember one of my teammates who's worked with me for about 15 years now, Trevor, said, wait, you want me to sell bingo to Google? And you want me to sell trivia to Salesforce? And I was like, yes, I do. And he thought it was crazy. We ended up doing over $1 million in revenue in less than a year. We produced over 1,500 events in 30 different countries that very first year. And that has now morphed into, we continue with the virtual events, and we're also doing in-person team building events, connecting corporate teams through play virtually and in person. And then I wrote the book, It Pays to Play, How Play Improves Business Culture. I wrote this during the pandemic. And this has now turned into keynote speaking, and we're doing culture consulting. So we're actually helping people integrate playfulness into the way they run their day-to-day operations, because you can have a lot of fun with the work you're doing, which is what we do at Jam. We have a lot of fun with the work we're doing. We get a lot done. We have fun doing it. And there are ways to integrate playfulness into your day-to-day. So it's not always just about stop what you're doing and play. It's about have fun with the work you're doing. And so that's sort of the new aspect of this. So we've got a few different verticals now, all connecting people through play.
Wow.
So
So
I agree with you. I feel like I do have the best job in the world.
that's
I get up every day excited to help connect people through play. It makes me so happy.
well. What is it? What is a typical day like for you? I'm guessing you don't have typical days, but like, what do you do most days?
I don't have typical days. I always get up and work out. Is ideally like I got to get that done first thing. If I don't, it never gets done. I'm not going to happen if I say I'll do it at 5 o'clock, unless I'm committed to playing on a sports team, or I'm committed to got a tennis game, or if I'm committed to playing, which is actually one of the reasons playing in sports leagues is so powerful, because you're not going to let your team down. You're going to go out. Anyway, I get up, I work out, I get my reading done. I always do a little bit of business reading every morning. And then depending on what's going on right now, a big part of my role right now would be focused on, I'm doing acquisitions. So we just completed an acquisition. We've done 10 acquisitions of
Wow.
other rec sports leagues in a bunch of different cities. That's what we're really focused on, trying to grow and scale. My goal is to get 1 million people playing every year. So in order to do that, we got a ways to go. So I've been doing a lot of acquisitions. I have a big one in the works right now in the US, which I'm pretty excited about. Hoping that'll close in the next couple of months, but that's taking a lot of time right now. And then I'm also focusing on the B2B, the new part of the business, the B2C side, the adult sports leagues. I have an amazing team that have that. It's operational. Like, they know what they're doing. They don't really, frankly, they don't want me around. I mean, I touch base with them. We have a daily huddle, so that I see everybody every day for 7 minutes, but they don't need me involved in the day-to-day operations. So I'm really focusing on growing the corporate side. How are we, this new culture consulting aspect, the new corporate event aspect? I tell people I feel like I have a 27-year-old, which is the B2C sports leagues, that just got off of 3 years of life support. And I have this 3-year-old toddler that keeps changing its mind about what it wants to do. It was initially just virtual events, and then it became in-person events. And now it's both of those plus the consulting side. So there's lots on the go. There's like you said, there's never an average day.
Let's get practical for a second. I mentioned to you prior to recording about every year I host an event with members of my leadership circles and important clients. We get together. It's less than 50 people. So it's more of a leadership retreat. Now, these people are all working in businesses all over the world doing different things. So it's not a team per se, but we go there to learn together. We meet on Zoom throughout the year and then have the once per year in person. And I'm always trying to make the next year better. And so it's hard, right? You know how that is when you host events. It's like, oh, how do we make it better and better? How do we surprise them a little bit? How do we have fun? How do we learn? How do we make sure when they leave, they feel like they learned a lot, they had fun, they met people, that they're in a much better place. So if you were to come in knowing that, you may need to know more. I'm happy to answer questions if you need it, but I think getting practical and real is cool here. What types of things would you brainstorm to do, knowing that this isn't like a senior leadership team that's going to always work together? It's a bunch of people who work in different businesses, but they're coming together because they have this learning leader mindset, they're growth focused, they want to improve, and then they're going to go their separate ways afterwards in their own businesses. What are some of the things you would do to make it fun, to make it educational, to make it feel like people got great value if we were at an offsite for 2 or 3 days?
And so it's a mastermind community. They share
Yes,
pretty
exactly.
openly amongst each other.
Exactly.
And how often do they meet?
We meet
Virtually?
once a month virtually, and then one
Once a
time
month.
per year in person.
So based on what little I know, and I don't know setting or anything, but I would say some ideas I would throw out would be, I would look at your agenda over a couple of days, and I would definitely plan 1 or 2 great keynote speakers. I would definitely think about having a tournament, like a pickleball tournament going on as part of the optional. Like, you don't ever want to force play on anyone. You don't want to force fun, but highly encouraged, get people to try something new. So you get a little pickleball tournament going on. I would have some segments for like work sessions, like brainstorming work, maybe 1 2-hour session each day where there's specific, maybe we're going to talk about what's the legacy that we want to leave ourselves, and you write your own eulogy, things like that to get you thinking about, because as business leaders, I think that's a super important exercise. That was one that I did many years ago that really helped me decide to grow and get 1 million people playing every year. Maybe it's that you look at your core values of your organization and dig deep on core values. So you could be any kind of loads of different types of work sessions that you could do. And then I would also say you could do some sessions on personal growth. So some personal development stuff. Maybe it's a dream session where you're talking about dreams. That this is something we actually just did recently at our jamboree. We do a similar thing with our team every year, and we talked about a dream session, and then everyone sort of shared their dreams, and then other people who had similar dreams, they could partner up and group up and get little accountability groups going to say, okay, let's help each other make these dreams happen. Like, I want to write a book. Okay, how many? There's 5 people here that want to write a book. You guys can become an accountability group. You can opt in to do that. Again, you don't force that, but that's something you group them together. So that's just another idea. I'm just riffing here.
Yeah, I love it.
On loads of things. And then I would most definitely, you need to have a 2-hour session where people are broken into teams, and you do like this is what Jam specializes in. You do a team bonding events type games, and those could be an amazing race. They could be a scavenger hunt. They could be a field day where you've got obstacle courses and 3-legged races and egg tosses and things like that. But it's all done team versus team. You can also start the whole, which is what we do at Jamboree. You have your whole event. You're put into a team right away. And so everything can have team-based points for participation. You also do like a get to know you session where there's and that can be done in a multitude different ways. That's a good cocktail hour type thing where maybe there's a bingo card and everyone gets a bingo card and they have to go find somebody, like there's a bunch of different, like someone is a twin, go find the twin. Someone is and you have to go talk to people quickly and fill your bingo card. There's that idea. You can also do get to know you sessions that are super deep dives with people. Honestly, Ryan, I could go on and on.
I love it. I don't
know. Does that give you some fodder for your?
Yeah, I was just taking a bunch of notes. I am curious too, though. I've worked in corporate America for a while before leaving to do my own thing, and there are some leaders who I've worked for that would say, "Kristi, we don't have time for this stuff. We got to get stuff done when it comes to like budgeting and planning for the next year, whatever." I've been in those meetings. How do you respond to those who think that they don't have time for play or they don't have time for this?
So I say, you don't not have time for this. This is actually so critical, Ryan. I would go toe to toe with any leader on this. It is absolutely critical. And the reason is statistics have proven fostering friendship and building community inside your organization can propel your organization so much further on so many different levels. Let's talk about turnover, retention. Turnover is costing organizations millions of dollars. Every time you lose someone, it's costing 50 to 150% of their salary. So someone's making $50,000, it's costing you $75,000 to lose that person. Imagine if you've got 100 people and your turnover is that industry average of 15 to 18%. How much is that costing? 100-person organization, it's like $1.2 million or something, the number. And imagine if you could reduce that turnover by 1 or 2 or 3% because you fostered friendships. Because the truth is, studies have proven when over 60% of your team can say that they have close friends in the organization, profitability goes up by 12%. As well, if someone says that they have a close friend at work, studies have shown they're far less likely to be looking for another place to work, and they're actually far more likely to recommend your organization as a great place to work. They're doing your recruiting for you. And I have actually real life examples of this in my book. I talk about Sandeep. Sandeep was on our team for 6.5 years. He worked his way up from an operations associate to being head of our finance team. Not quite CFO, but he was right up there. He left in 2020. He told me he was leaving. I was heartbroken because this guy is like such a gem of a human. He's just hardworking, ethical, amazing sense of humor, happens to be an all-around great athlete. So everyone always wants him on our company sports teams. And he got a new opportunity. He was going to make more money. He thought it was going to be a better career opportunity. So I wished him well. And I said, look, I'm heartbroken to see you go, but I really want the best for you. If you ever want to come back to Jam, keep in touch because there will always be a spot for you on our team. Which not everyone does this. I do this whenever it's someone I truly value. I tell people this because you never know if they might want to come back. And I believe it's a lot better and easier to onboard someone who's been on your team before than it is to recruit and hire and train someone brand new. Fast forward 4 months. I texted him. which I keep in touch with a lot of my former teammates because I've become friends with them. And I'm not inviting them over for Saturday night dinner parties. They're not my besties, but like I keep in touch as friends. So shot him a text. I was like, hey man, how's it going? I hope your new job's going well. We miss you. And how are things going? He wrote back, he said, I'm submitting my letter of resignation this week. I'm miserable. I have no job to go to, but I'm miserable. And I was like, what? And I called him. What's going on? He said, this place has no culture. No one cares about each other as friends. It's an absolutely horrible place to work, and I'm miserable. And he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I can't stay here. And I said, would you ever want to come back to Jam? And he said, nothing would make me happier. We couldn't make it happen right away, but 6 months later, we got him back on the team. He's been back on the team now for about 2.5 years. He's on the fast track to, in the next year and a half, 2 years, he will be our CFO. And that he's not the only one. We had Taylor, same thing. Tony, same thing. We've had 3 employees since the pandemic. We've had 3 employees leave and come back. And they left for more money and different career opportunities. They came back for culture and friendship. And so that's powerful stuff. Culture is really powerful. Then there's productivity. Productivity has been shown to go up. Engagement, like when you look at the stats on engagement, 36% of employees in North America are engaged with the work they're doing. That means 64% of your payroll, like if your payroll is 10 million and 64% of that 10 million, 6.4 million is not engaged with the work, what a waste of money. But engagement goes up when people care about the people that they work with, when they're friends in the workplace. Think about if you like someone you work with and you see that they're really stressed out and they're overworked at the, like they're really busy, you've got a little time on your hands. If you don't really care about them as a friend, you'll be like, oh, sucks to be him. I'm out, like checking out. If you care about them as a friend, you might say, hey, you look slammed. I've got some time. Can I help you? You don't do that if you're not friends with people. So there's a lot of power in fostering friendship. I'm a big believer in having your vision, your core values, your mission, your purpose, having that all laid out. That is critical. Those are table stakes when it comes to culture. But what brings all those to life is having a connected, cohesive team of people who care about each other and care about the work they're doing. So I would just go toe to toe with any leader and say, if you think you don't have time for this, I would say you're missing the plot because you're wasting so much money spinning your wheels. At the beginning of every meeting at Jam, we press play to start. That's how we start our meetings. Press play to start. What that means is we spend 3 minutes connecting playfully. So whoever is leading the meeting, maybe they'll share a joke. Maybe they'll ask a question. Maybe they'll give a riddle for everyone in the meeting to solve. You've got 3 minutes, we're going to solve a riddle. Maybe they play a little game. Somehow they get the team connected playfully. You get to know each other more personally when this happens. And then you start the meeting. So you've left everything aside outside. Your mind is now, you've played for a minute. You're in this flow state. You're now ready to engage with the work. It takes 3 minutes. It's also things like how are you recognizing great work being done? We have shout out channels. We have core value awards. We have banter channels that are highlighting, giving people the opportunity to shout out great work being done. So they feel like, wow, they recognize me here. I'm being seen. I'm being heard. I'm being cared about. And it's being done in a playful way. And so it just, that's the kind of thing that it's not stopping the work. It's actually just having a little more fun with the work.
I was just going to say before you started listing off some cool examples, not only do you help others do this, you're doing it for yourself, for your own. So,
yeah.
What was this like
Usually.
at the beginning? And when was the beginning? What was it like? How did you build this up? And were you always like this with play and fun and building the culture and caring deeply for people? Or did you evolve to this? I'm just curious if you could take us back to more of the beginning stages of your business, because I think a lot of people can relate to that more so than maybe where you're at now.
Yeah, I definitely was not always like this. In fact, I learned the hard way. So in probably 90, I was running a painting franchise in university, a student painting franchise, College Pro Painters. I had 10 painters working for me. I was a dictator and not a lot of fun to work for. And halfway through the summer, half my painters quit. Done, gone. They're like, we're out of here. You suck. We're out. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have a lot more jobs we have to produce. How are we going to do this? I had to stop selling. I had to stop marketing. I had to start recruiting and finding new painters. And I sat down with my dad, who was an entrepreneur. I was beside myself. And he said, Kristi, if you don't have people aren't your priority, you've got nothing. It was a hard lesson I had to learn very early. That second half of the summer, I ran my business very differently. I created I created games for my team to drive results. I showed them what my goals were, and I incentivized them with contests. I took them out to play paintball. We did laser tag. We went out for drinks on Friday nights. And I would show up at their job site just randomly. I'd show up at the jobs and I'd bring them a popsicle or I'd bring them a can of Coke. I'd go out one time, they had to work really late. I brought a barbecue to the job site and I barbecued hot dogs and hamburgers. There's a picture of me doing that actually in the book. I literally barbecued for them on the job site so that they could keep working, but they knew I cared about them. So I totally changed the way I ran the business. And those painters in the second half of that summer stayed with me for 2 more full summers after that. And that was the lesson I got very early, how important it is to care about your people. So then when I started Jam, I think I just prioritized caring about my team as people. And if you look at the length of time a number of my teammates have been on our team, it's amazing. I've got people on my team who I've worked with for over 20 years because we care.
I love it. It also made me think about, as a leader and someone running a business, you are making hiring and firing decisions, and that's critical, right? We're talking about people here. Whether you're promoting somebody to a leadership role, like you mentioned, your CFO or future CFO, or you're hiring somebody for a leadership role, I'm curious, Chris, what are some of the must-have qualities in a person to be a leader at your company?
So curiosity, which I know you're a really curious person. I think curiosity is critical because that's how you get to know people, asking questions, learning about each other, and helps you get curious about the business. We have our 6 core values are deliver what you promise, take pride in what you do, treat everyone like your best friend, get shit done, chase the vision, and find a better way. So they have to be willing to live and breathe those core values. And if those core values turn someone off, that's okay. You're just not the right fit for our organization. Like, not everyone's going to be the right fit for Jam. And so I would say they need to be able to live and breathe those core values. They also need to be able to have a sense of be able to laugh at themselves. And that's a big one. We take our business seriously, but not ourselves. We laugh a lot. I laugh multiple times a day. I will laugh out loud, whether I'm in my office or I'm working from home and I'm reading the banter channel. I laugh all the time. And so that makes going to work fun. So I'm more engaged, even though it is my business, but like, I know it's the same for my team. Like, they're more engaged because they're having fun with the work they're doing, right? Like, it's just a no-brainer to me. And then it also makes recruiting that much easier because our own team will get their friends to apply for jobs because they'll be like, and it's not like we hire everyone's best friend, but it makes it easier to get good people when people like working where they're working. They're going to spread the word about job opportunities, and we make it fun right from the start. Like, our onboarding is awesome. The minute you walk in, the first day when you join Jam, the door opens, you come at 10 o'clock. It's never on a Monday. It's always a Tuesday or Wednesday. You come at 10 o'clock, not 9 o'clock, because it gives everyone else time to be there at 9 o'clock. The rookies on our team, if you've worked for us less than a year, you're a rookie. You're wearing your Jam rookie hoodie. If you're a veteran on your team, once you've hit veteran, which is 1 year, you get officially drafted to the team. You get your veteran sweater. So everyone has a hockey jersey. It says Jam on the front and your name and number on the back. And your number is the year you started with us. So I've got a 96. And so their veterans have their hockey jerseys on. Rookies are wearing the hoodies. We get the walk-up song blaring, which is what it's actually, you're asked on your application, what's your walk-up song? So that is blaring off of the speaker. So they walk in the door and there's the whole team lined up, high five welcoming them. There's this high five tunnel that they walk through. They get guided into the boardroom and then they look up on the screen and all of our remote team who aren't based out of Toronto, everyone's up on the screen waiting to welcome them. And then we have a quick game of 3 questions. I always sort of do a little welcome speech and then say, and as is always tradition, we're going to go to Rob to ask the first question. No one on the team knows who's actually going to be asked. There is no tradition to this except that I'm going to randomly pick someone to ask a question. So anyone on our team has to be on their toes, ready to ask a question, and they'll ask a silly get to know you question. This literally takes 5 minutes of our team's day to welcome a new employee. That is the best welcome they have ever received at any organization. They're not ever going to forget that. And then we have videos of that we share on social media, and people are like, that's a fun place to work. There's lots of spillover. So this is why I think you can't afford not to be having a little bit of fun with this stuff.
Wow, that's wild. You remind me of Jesse Cole. I saw he blurbed your book too. But I've talked to him a few times.
He's a good friend.
I went to a Bananas game this summer. It was, oh my goodness, it was amazing. And Jesse rolled out the red carpet for us too. He came and yeah, it was amazing. But anyway, you remind me of him with these ideas and wild things you do for your people. How do you come up with these ideas?
I don't know. They just come to us. When we hear about other ideas, I don't know where the high five welcome came from. Our daily huddle, I got that idea from 1-800-GOT-JUNK, Brian Scudamore. That's something that they do, and I thought it was brilliant. And we've made it our own. It's our own version. It's the same agenda every day, 7 minutes. And we set it at a time that if you're living in Europe or you're on the west coast of Canada, it's 1 p.m. Eastern, so everyone can make it. And same agenda every day, always starts with good news. And it always ends with leader's choice. Whoever's leading huddle, it's a different leader every day. Whether you're a brand new intern on the team or you're in the C-suite, it doesn't matter. Everyone goes through a rotation of leading huddle. And so you lead huddle a few times a year. And actually yesterday I got to lead huddle. And for my leader's choice, I played a little game. I had everyone stand up and it took me like a minute to go through this game, asking silly questions, and you sat down. But leader's choice might be, I remember one of my favorites was one of the huddle leaders said, Marlon, he said, if you haven't spoken to someone, I want you to pick up the phone this afternoon, call someone you haven't talked to in 6 months. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to call my dad or whatever. And it's just touching things like that little huddle leader's choice is different every day, but there's always a little playful element to it. So those are like, it's an actual important meeting. There's important information that comes through at huddle, important updates, but it starts and finishes with a little playfulness.
Oh, I love it.
That came from Brian Scudamore. So I don't know, more different ideas come up all the time. We recently just put our team into houses. So now when you join the team, and that was an idea I got just from Harry Potter, like Harry Potter houses, right? So the house names are named after office streets. My first office was on Cottingham and then Huron and then Avenue and Bridgeland. So those are the names of the houses. And when you get put on the Jam team, you're put in a house and you're in that house forever. You never leave that house. And those houses become the welcome committee for onboarding new teammates. So if you're put onto the Cottingham house, it's the whole Cottingham house team that is going to welcome you, take you out for lunch, make sure you get to know people, make sure your onboarding experience is great. We'll have little house challenges when we have our annual jamboree. Those challenges that we do will be done in houses. When you show, there'll be points for, if you come to book club, you get a point for your house. If you come to the weekly lunch and laugh, you get a point for your house. So our people and culture committee will track attendance, these things. It's not complicated, but it just adds a little element of fun. And so I don't know, these ideas just come up and we try things, and not everything works out great, but we try things. And if it works, we keep doing it. If it doesn't work, like Jesse, at the Savannah Bananas, they try like 10 new things every night. They're always trying new things and seeing what works. So yeah.
You got to work that idea muscle. You brought up the phrase core values multiple times. What was your process for saying, this is what we believe, this is what we're about, this is what we value? Because when I've done this exercise initially, it's hard to narrow it down to a certain amount because you want to value everything. But if you value everything, then you actually don't really value anything. You got to make tough choices. So what was your process to create the core values for your company?
Yeah, and every organization has to have core values that are unique to them, right? The DNA of your organization is your culture, and it's unique to your organization. So the way we did it was, I had heard about this mission to Mars exercise. And so I basically pulled 5 people from our team And we did this, I think in like 20 is when I did this. I pulled 5 people from my team into the boardroom and I said, I want you to write down 3 names. It could be anyone from our organization. And my name does not have to be on this list, by the way. Write down 3 names. If we were going to open up Jam on Mars, what 3 people from our team would we want to do that? Who would best represent us? So then I had 15 names, some of which were repeat. We distilled them down. It got to, I think it was probably like 7 names. And then we were like, okay, what is it about these 7 people? What is it about them? The characteristics that would make them amazing to open up Jam on Mars. And so and then we filtered that down. And then we sort of just kept distilling it down until we could summarize. I was actually trying to get 5 and we ended up with 6. And we don't just have them written down, like they are written on our wall. They're written, everyone gets a mouse pad with my 3-year vision on it. And the core values are all listed on the mouse pad. And they're on the wall and they're on our website. But we actually talk about them all the time. So in our shout out channel, when you're giving a shout out, you're shouting out someone for something great they've done and you're highlighting what core value that is. And we do a core value award once a month. I got a trophy made and it's like an 18-inch apple, a half-eaten apple core. I just thought that would be funny. So it's a core value. And on the base of the trophy, it's actually quite a beautiful trophy. It's like this bronze apple core. On the base of the trophy are the 6 core values. And once a month, everyone nominates someone for the core value award. And whoever gets the most nominations wins the trophy for the month. And if they're a remote teammate, we sit it on the main desk for them, and they get a special Zoom backdrop for our meetings. And that I do a presentation every month for the core value award. So it takes about probably 10 minutes. It's at the end of huddle once a month. I'll read through all the nominations. So everyone hears themselves being shouted out and everyone hears the shout out they gave, which is a really beautiful thing because giving gratitude is powerful, right? And it's nice to sort of hear all the great things that are going on at the organization. So that's just a simple little thing we do, costs nothing, but it makes people feel cared about, makes people feel seen, makes people more engaged with the work they're doing, and it highlights the core values that we really care about.
Wow. Well, on the mouse pad, you said it also, in addition to your values, has your 3-year vision. What is your 3-year vision and how did you come up with it?
So the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal is 1 million people playing every year. And so then I've just sort of tried to distill this down. This guy I know, Cameron Herold, wrote a book called Vivid Vision. You probably have heard of Cameron. He's my big brother. And so I thought that was a great book. And I love this idea of vivid vision and like really painting that picture of where you want to get to. And you got to break it down into chunks. And so Cam believes that 3 years is a good size chunk. So although we want to get to 1 million one day, we're not going to get there tomorrow. So we sort of just tried to break it down. And we have it all in different categories of where we see the company. We're not going to get it all done. And this is actually what I talked about at Jamboree for my CEO presentation at Jamboree. I said, look, like we could focus on how far we have to go, still far to get to our 3-year vision at the end of 2024. But if we actually look back at the gains instead of the gap, it's really powerful to see everything we've accomplished in the last year and a half. It's incredible how much traction we've made without the 3-year vision. So whether we actually hit everything on the vision or not, it doesn't matter. Having those things to chase and looking at them every quarter, we look at what's the next priority for the quarter. Looking at all of that constantly, it really is amazing how much gets done. It's an incredibly powerful tool.
Very cool. Kristi, I'm so grateful for your energy. And by the way, before we even recorded, I felt like I had notes worth of adventures to go on, places to visit on vacation, things to do with my family. I was like, wow, I'm like super value add from the first second. But your book's called It Pays to Play, How Play Improves Business Culture. And I think you have a cool giveaway. Where would you send my viewers and listeners to take advantage of this giveaway and to learn more about you online?
Sure. So yeah, I would love for your listeners I've got a playbook PDF for them. It's a 10-page playbook, which is 10 ways to integrate play into the workplace. So it'll just give them more ideas further to what I've talked about today. And that can be found at KristiHerold.com. So Kristi, Kristi, Herold, HEROLD.com/learning leader 25. And inside the playbook, Ryan, is a 25% offer if any of your listeners would like to try a jam event, like a virtual event or an in-person event, or they would like to sign up for a jam sports team if they're in one of the cities where we operate. We are happy to pass on 25% savings to your listeners. So that code is inside the playbook for them. And then my book and my speaking opportunities and our culture, I'm at KristiHerold.com, and the company is jamgroup.com.
Love it. KristiHerold.com/learning leader 25. This is awesome. I'm also want to publicly thank Jason Gaynard for connecting us. He's the ultimate connector and just an amazing guy. And he's never been wrong. Every time he's made a connection, it's been an amazing person. Obviously, that fits you, Kristi. So thank you so much for being here. It was fantastic. And I would love to continue our dialogue as we both progress.
Yeah, let's do that, Ryan. Thanks so much for having me. I'm actually really honored and appreciate your time today to get to talk about play. I could do it all day long. So thanks for having me.
I can tell. I love it. Love it. Thanks so much, Kristi.